here's what you need to know right now when it comes to the Bears Stadium. May 31st is a big day coming up here for the Bears to get shovels in the ground at Arlington Heights this year, 2025, which is what Kevin Warren has said over and over and over again. He is not wavered from that. But in order for that to happen, there's some things that need to go down in Springfield between now and May 31st, which is next Saturday. And the reason is because that is the end of the current Illinois legislative session down in Springfield. So what I thought I'd do for you guys here is, because a lot of people, nobody wants to be caught up in the weeds and the politics of the stadium stuff, myself included. And so this is like, let's call it Bears Stadium for Dummies, myself included, because I needed all of this like sort of translated to me myself to truly understand it. So you may remember the Bears got this memorandum of understanding with Arlington Heights. You guys remember that? And it had to do with the tax certainty. So why do the Bears need tax certainty? I mean, wouldn't we all love tax certainty on our properties?
Nothing I love more than
that would be great. The difference is my house that I'd love to have tax certainty on for the rest of my life does not have a great benefit to the community like a potential stadium might.
Disagree. I love your backyard.
But I do too. There's a golf course back there.
You give beers to golfers. You should have tax certainty.
All right, let's clip that. Send this to Lake County. I deserve tax certainty.
Take that, Lake County.
Regardless, by getting, when you're going to build a project like the Bears are going to build here, and they're asking for tax certainty, so they know that it's not going to end up, hurting them long term. And in return, by getting that tax certainty, they're telling the community, okay, whatever you're losing here by not being able to raise taxes on us is going to be more than made up for with the benefits to the community, the amount of money it makes.
Oh yeah,
economy, all that stuff.
Business will be booming.
Tourism, right? So it actually makes sense when you really think about it. And no, my backyard does not have that same benefit to the community. So they came to this memorandum of understanding with Arlington Heights, with the school districts, the tax entities in Arlington Heights. Here's the problem with that. They can't actually do that until a law is passed. And so there's some legislation that needs to be passed by May 31st that would actually it wouldn't just be for the Bears, it would become a statewide thing that would allow local taxing districts to enter agreements with private developers. So that's why it's a memorandum of understanding, because they're in agreement, but they can't actually execute it until it's legal to do so. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it actually does.
Okay.
And
I'm trying to make this all make
Stadium
sense.
for Dummies.
Stadium for
it's
Dummies.
Working.
MOE.
Yes.
It's working.
MOU.
For this dummy over here, it's making sense.
All right.
Go on.
Must be the hair.
Yeah, somebody called me Bryson DeChamberger. Go ahead.
That's actually funny. So again, May 31st is the deadline. We'll see what happens next week. But if this legislation can pass, and by the way, this is all actually public. It's just you got to kind of sift through some things to find it. Then, bam, Bears would be on track to get shovels in the ground. Now, here's the thing. What about the infrastructure?
What about it?
Because that's a big deal.
Roads.
Yes, roads.
The biggest one is roads.
Sewers. Where we're going, we don't need roads.
No, we will.
Yeah, we'll need lots of roads. We will need ramps. We will need
more
ingress,
trains.
Egress. Ingress, egress is my favorite phrasing that gets used with stadiums. Ingress, egress.
Warren is an expert on that. He went out and he checked it out on his own, the ingress and the egress.
What about egress?
Egress will be here today.
Yes. What I could tell you on that, just on the surface, that sounds like a lot to figure out in 9 days. Am I correct?
9 times.
Well, the
9
infrastructure
days.
timeout, because we were at the proposal for this 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And they talked a lot about the infrastructure. So they've had 3 years on the infrastructure. The bill thing, okay, I'll give you.
Yeah, but they haven't made any progress because the Bears have been flirting with the city and trying to get this and that.
That's what you get for flirting.
Yeah, here's the deal with what I was told on the infrastructure. That is not going to be figured out in the next 9 days. It probably won't be figured out this year. In fact, that's going to be like kind of a long-term deal that gets figured out. Like, this project's going to take a while. And by the way, the Bears can't go down to Springfield and be like, we need roads. That needs to come from the local communities. The government needs to ask the government for stuff like that. So that's where Arlington.
If anybody lives in Illinois, they know how long it takes a road to get fixed.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's cut to the chase here. Really cut to the chase. The Bears are going to Arlington Heights. Enjoy the Chicago Bears while you can enjoy them because they're leaving. And that sucks. And this sucks. And all this sucks. And ingress, what?
But May 31st is still a big date coming up here.